What is up, everybody? Happy Sunday! Fun day! Welcome to the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. I am one half of your host, your virtual bartender, Mr. Nick Teodoro. Joining me, as always, to my right is my lovely tag team partner in life, my wife, Miss Nicole. What are you having this evening?
Oh, you know the usual, Mr. Tito, some orange juice and cranberry juice. Mr. Nick, what are you drinking, and what are our three things tonight?
Mr. Nick is having his Seven Oaks red wine as per usual. Well, Tonga Loa has debuted. We have new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and Cody Rhodes has successfully defended his WWE Universal Undisputed title for the first time. We are recapping WWE Backlash France. So let's get right to it. We open with the Bloodline challenging Randy Orton and Kevin Owens in what can only be described as just chaos to open the show, which I absolutely loved. Kind of brings back to the old Attitude Era days that we talk about in days past. Ultimately, what we see is what you and I kind of expected with the Bloodline in Tama Tonga's first match, coming out on top. But Nikki, take us there. How did we get there?
Oh my God. Well, kind of first off, the crowd was incredible. I can't recall a time when they sang Randy Orton's music. Like, the whole crowd was singing, which was craziness. And then again, like Nick said, it turns into like this big schmoz. Like, first, they're trying to, referees are bringing up, and then Jamie Noble's out, then Shane Helms is out, and all the producers are out. KO starts stunning security guys. And I go to Nick, like, last night, I was like, is this just like an angle? Like, are we really about to not have a match right now? And then all this comes out. I was like, oh no, like, what's happening? And then incredibleness happens. He's like, I'm going to let you do what you want. No DQs, no disqualifications, no countouts. You're going to have a street fight. And then the brawl just pushes out into the crowd.
Which, to cut you off there, was an absolutely hot crowd all night long.
Yeah. And
this is stemming from Friday night. We talked about it. It was just a hot crowd buzzing.
Yeah.
From start to finish, the crowd was unbelievable. That was just a WrestleMania type bout. And that's what we saw. So anyway.
Yeah, loud the whole time and not quiet at all. Like, just incredible. It's also kind of crazy. I saw that, like, the tickets were crazy expensive. Like, it would be like the cheapest seat was like $300 US. It's like, ooh, again, if you're paying that much money, you're going to be excited the whole time. But I digress. So Orton and they break off. It's Orton and Solo go this way. KO and Tama go a different way. So basically they go up the steps, and then KO and Tama, well, they're fighting in the prime water station or whatever that's what they call it. They go that way, and then Randy and Solo go up.
Hydration station.
Yeah, the hydration station. Well, I don't think you should drink that to be hydrated. Any hoosies. So they brawl up, and then they brawl back down. And this is such a fun little spot that made me laugh so hard last night. So at the one point, Kevin has thrown Tama and Solo over the barricade. He gets on the barricade and does a frog splash onto them. Randy Orton gets up on the barricade, pretends, like, gets the crowd, like, is he going to do it? And then goes to leap, and then he just steps down. And I was like, oh, that's so good. Like, Randy Orton, like, having fun Randy Orton is good Randy Orton. So I thought that was super fun. Again, I took a lot of notes, so excuse me for kind of looking this way. Make sure I know where I am.
Yeah, that's just a classic Randy Orton thing where he just, and I think Corey Graves, who's saying, like, he's like just widely veteran, like, just what he does. He knows how to play up the crowd, and you can tell all night, like, when these guys like Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, who are like veterans of the business for that long, have been, see a crowd like that. Yeah, they're in it 100%.
So he steps down and he starts fighting with Tama. He throws Tama into each, kind of slams them onto each of the announce tables. Then they go under the ring to get all the goodies. We got trash cans. We got kendo sticks. Tables come out. Tama, if you like, after he gets slammed into the announce, and Corey's like, I have Tama and the camera guy all in my lap. And then so Tama crawls out, and the camera guy's like next to Corey to take the shot, and his back is just covered in welts from the kendo, like the table, and then getting hit with kendo sticks. It was crazy.
Yeah, Tama came out looking very strong, as kind of expected. We thought he would end up looking super strong in this match. Because his first match, you have to make him look good. And yeah, I think no doubt about it, he came out looking strong, and he took a beating, and deservedly so. Like, you want to get that credibility, and that's what him and Solo. Solo's the street champ, right? That's what they like. You want to make them look like that.
So then at that point, tables come out. They put there's one on the outside, one on the inside. On the outside, KO does a frog splash onto Tama through the table. So that kind of, he's out for a little bit. And then in the ring is Solo and Orton, and he gets Randy into the Samoan drop, drops him through that table. The referee moves the table away. Then KO goes in. So now Randy and Tom are down. So KO goes into the ring, and Solo and him basically have a hockey fight. Solo does a huge clothesline on KO. And I think this match, definitely not underrated, but the way that KO sells for people is incredible. Like, when he hits this clothesline and he does the whole, like, Charlie Brown, like, spin in the air. And
which is impressive for a guy
when
still
we get
his
to
size.
the ending, like, the way he sells the end of the match, like, he's just, like, rewatching, because again, I watched last night, I watched it again today. Rewatching, it's just like, God, he's such a good seller. He's like, I just really like KO. Okay, and then Tama comes in, and they're beating him up with kendo sticks. More kendo stick shots. He does a hip attack Solo hits him with the hip attack in the corner. Then there's trash cans everywhere. They're hitting him in the head with the lid. Then KO gets up. He reverses because there's now another table that's set up in the turnbuckle against the turnbuckles. So Solo goes to throw him in there. KO reverses it, throws Solo into it. Then Tama comes in and gets KO out of there.
It was a lot of.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot to start. They start in the crowd. Yeah. They build it back into the ring. They use a lot of weaponry. This is the theme that's been built up since WrestleMania, prior to WrestleMania. The Bloodline rules. What is Bloodline rules? I think that's going to be a whole thing moving forward.
And at this point now, Randy and Tom are in the ring together, and Thomas making like these crazy like faces at Randy, like egging him on. They're like, oh, you know, he's new here. You shouldn't be like egging on like Randy. And then Randy does all his Randy stuff. He does the big power scoop slam, which is chef's kiss. I love his scoop slam so hard. Then he does, of course, a vintage Randy Orton. And then he goes to hit the RKO, which he gets out of. Or he hits the RKO to Tama. Yeah. And Solo breaks up the pin. And then they are outside. Then they clear off or I guess it's already broken or whatever at that point. But Solo and Randy are on the announce table, and he goes to hit the Samoan spike, but then he hits him with the RKO. So that they're out. Then KO's in the ring, and he sets up the 4 chairs that Tama already threw in the ring. And when each chair he sets up, he hits Tama with it, sets it up, hit Tama with it, sets it up. And then...
Yeah, that was a nice spot, because again, he's working with him through it, and just like... I feel like so many times... In all these matches, it's like they hit him with one like super kick or some move, and they're waiting on the table for an hour for them to climb the ladder or to do something like all this craziness. So like this was actually nice that like it's like, all right, hits him, sets him, he keeps him down. Like it's one of those things that doesn't happen often.
So hits him with the chairs. The 4 chairs are set up like a little table basically, and they go to the top rope. And the most incredible move, whatever you want to call it, the brain buster, the fisherman brain buster, but they go crashing through the chairs, and it looks gnarly.
It's like amazing. An inverted fisherman suplex is really what it is, at least in my opinion.
So then, of course, KO goes to pin, and then the ref is pulled out of the ring, and they're like, oh, it's going to be Jacob. And you turn, and it's Tanga Loa. It's kind of like I didn't even think about him coming in. Like everyone, like would have reading online, we thought he was still in New Japan.
If you don't know, so Tanga Loa was in WWE as Camacho.
Which was
like 10 years ago?
A Mexican restaurant.
Mexican restaurant. They have great quesadillas.
on
Cinco de Mayo.
This
is a great way to just get this going.
It's been a 10. So with the previous, it became the second Sin Cara.
Yes.
But anyway, they're real brothers. Their dad's Haku Ming, whatever you want to call him. But they were tag team in New Japan. I thought Tanga Loa was still in New Japan, but apparently he's not. So then he hits Randy with some stairs.
He hits KO with the stairs too.
Yeah. Then they're in the ring, and then they hit him with they hit him with the Samoan drop onto the chair, and then Solo hits him again with the Samoan spike.
Oh, it was the Uranagi.
Oh, it was.
He was in he does a Uranagi onto the side of the chair.
Sorry, yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, so again, move through the chair, then the Samoan spike, which he sold incredibly, and then he's like just drooling and spitting and can't breathe, and it's so crazy. And of course, then Solo pins him 1, 2, 3. Heyman looks shocked. Then they're just kind of like standing over KO, and then like Paul Heyman gets in the ring, like trying to like, hey, like we won, we got it, like don't beat him up anymore. And then they all put up the ones. And then commentary is so great. Michael Cole goes, oh, it was guerrilla warfare tonight. And then Corey goes, well, it's destiny for Tanga Loa to be in WWE. If you don't know, their tag team in New Japan was called Guerrillas of Destiny, the GOD. So it's just like, I see what you
Which has a lot of crossover with what Roman was been calling himself God mode over the last X.
Right.
So that begs the question now, with everything going on Friday Night SmackDown, with Nick Aldis's interaction with Paul Heyman, who is in the bloodline? Is this Bloodline 2.0 with Solo Sikoa as the head? Is this, is there some tribal chief that we don't know of yet? Is The Rock the tribal chief? Is Roman Reigns still somehow involved in this and maybe just not talking to Paul Heyman? I'm curious to see. I want to hear it from everybody here. Let us know. I guess I might not have put it in the chat, in the description, but if you want to call in, the lines are open. It is in the live chat, the actual description. So there's a call-in link to reach out and let us know what you're thinking and what you're drinking tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I really am curious to see where this goes, because we talked about Jacob being in the bloodline. Now, if Jacob presumably is part of this group, this quartet, then, Survivor Series is usually 4-on-4. What would the potential war games be? Obviously, the Usos are the tag team on the one side. Is Cody one of the people? Is Roman, is it Roman and Rock? Is it Roman and like maybe Sami Zayn? It'd be interesting to see how this iteration of this new bloodline is going to form and who's the head of the table.
Yeah, I would really would love to see Usos versus GOD. I think that would be such a fun match.
Yeah, and that's apparently, what the internet has been saying is that's been a match that's been clamored for a lot.
Yeah.
So,
because again, the Usos are probably one of the best tag teams ever. I think GOD is an amazing tag team. Like, I'd be excited to see that. And I think it's going to be a civil war. I think it's going to be maybe old school, like Roman Usos versus kind of the new bloodline.
Mm.
And I think, I hope so. Like, Solo was barking orders at Tama, and he barks orders at Heyman. What do we say?
Okay.
I know, because you were saying that you wanted like The Rock to be the kind of like Solo, kind of being like, what do we call him? Like the underboss?
The capo. We call it the capo in the
sergeant guy. Like when Rock's not here, but he's carrying out Rock's orders. Like, I think, the big guys aren't there. Like, Solo's running shop from higher up.
All I will say is that when they beat up KO on SmackDown, they both had black gloves on, which is really the mark to me in like all the gang movies and stuff like that, of like an enforcer, not a leader. So I will say that. But
Corey does call him the enforcer of the bloodline.
Yeah. So I still think there's some other leader to be named or to be determined. But I digress. Moving on. The second match of the evening, we have Bayley defending successfully defending, which we predicted. And this is going to be a theme of this show, as Nikki and I both, spoiler alert, were undefeated in our predictions, 5-0.
Defeated.
So Bayley defends successfully her women's, is it SmackDown Women's Championship?
No, she
WWE?
is the WWE Women's
WWE Women's Championship, excuse me. Successfully defends her WWE Women's Championship against Tiffany Stratton and Naomi, coming out on top, ultimately with a roll-up pin over Naomi, which, another thing we correctly predicted on this show, we thought Naomi was going to eat the pin because Tiffy time is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Just not yet. Overall, Nikki, your thoughts on the match?
Okay, so it started like a lot of arm drags, roll-ups, kind of the 3 sequences, like who can roll up who was kicking out, who was pulling people off each other, and then Tiffy did a great try to double pin them both. It didn't quite work. There was a lot of fun stops, like Tiffy does the China Dana Brooke like springboard handspringing to the back elbow, which was good. And then there was this fun spot where Bayley tried to hit Naomi with the sunset flip, and then Tiffy came in and stomped her down. Another fun spot was Bayley attempted to do a German suplex, and then Tiffy kind of landed on her feet and kind of rolled her into the Alabama Slam. And I am worried because I did call out Liv Morgan about too many backstabbers or code breakers. Word about Tiffy and the Alabama Slams. Like, there are fun spots here, but I'm like, don't do it too much. Because I called out Liv for doing that move too much in the Battle Royal. I'm just worried about this here.
I think it's a little different when like you're, I don't know, just her giving her background. Like she's a gymnast. Like I think it's a little different. Yeah.
I'm just saying if I call it try to keep it fair.
Well, because the way that like, and I was gonna say it's just kind of cut in here, but like the way that she does moves and shameless self-promotion for our guest, Nikki Duke, on a fellow gymnast on Friday's show coming up this Friday. So mark your calendars. But it's one of those things that you have to be super athletic. I don't know if it's a gymnast. It's something I noticed a lot of the ex-gymnast wrestlers do, female wrestlers. And I don't know, like the way that she incorporates that into her moveset. I like it. I have no problem with it.
I like it. I called out one wrestler doing a move too much. I'm just trying to keep it equal. But again, German into the Alabama Slam. Then they're outside the ring. Bayley does this huge dive and to hit Tiffy. And then Naomi hits the neck breaker off the barricade that looked super awesome. And then they're back in the ring, and Naomi hits again her split-legged moonsault that looks fantastic. Bayley broke that pin up on Tiffy. And then they're up on the turnbuckle, and Naomi, and I feel like I really like that she went on her excursion. I don't remember her doing half the moves that she does in this match. And then she takes Tiffy off the turnbuckle and does like a sit-out powerbomb in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
Like,
which kind of worried me because it was a little sloppy. It seemed a little like just the way she landed seemed a little late. But I'm
just like that they're trying to do bigger and better moves.
You have 3 of the most athletic. Bayley is a very underrated athlete, but she's a phenomenal wrestler. So you have her in that whole, oops, wrong little head. In that whole match, so she's going to kind of call the spots and make it more tolerable. She's the vet, and you have Naomi, who's tremendously athletic, and you have Tiffy Stratton, who's 22, 23, like again, young gymnast.
Baby.
Yeah, so you have 3 of the most athletic wrestlers in a match. They're going to do something great, and they put it together really, really nicely. Yeah,
and then after the powerbomb, Naomi has her in a hold, and then Bayley comes with her elbow, tries to pin both of them, doesn't happen. Then they're the kick out. Then Naomi pulls Tiffany out of the ring. Then again, she hits the Alabama Slam to Naomi on the table, which looked really gnarly. And then when she hit Bayley on the other table, it looked a little better. So I don't know if she needed to go up more and Naomi felt weird, but like the one on Naomi looked a little more vicious than the one on Bayley. Then they're back in the ring. She goes to do the prettiest moonsault. This is my big Nick energy moment of the night. But I just thought this was so awesome. So Tiffany's move is the Prius moonsault. She goes to do it. They move out the way. She lands on her feet. She goes to charge them. And then Bayley and Naomi hit her with the 1D, the 3D, whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it the 1D because Naomi's married to Jimmy and that's what they call it. But they hit her with the 1D. She rolls out of the ring. She's gone. Then basically Bayley and Naomi do these little roll-ups. And then all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3 pin. It's like, what?
Yeah.
She didn't win with a finisher. This is her first title defense, and she wins on a roll-up. And then Naomi, is like, oh, girl, you got me. And then, hugged. I'm like, no.
That's not, yeah. You shouldn't be happy for losing a big match like that and having it right in your grasp. Yeah, that really upset me. But I guess the one thing that's kind of nice about it is the callback to the beginning of the match. So it's kind of full circle, which is kind of cool. But other than that, I hate roll-ups. I hate small package finishes when they happen for the most part, unless it's a really, really unexpected, was it Macho Man Steamboat? Was that the small package finish that I'm thinking of? I just don't like roll-ups as a finish.
I think for a big your first title defense, your big title defense is to triple threat, and then you roll up your friend. It's like, oh.
Yeah,
it's her winning not using a finisher. I didn't like. I thought the match was very fun. I think there was so many fun spots. I think everyone got their spots, and I think everyone looked great until after the 1D, and then it just kind of tanked, or oh, it's done, and it's like, wait, what?
The one thing that's great about this is that I think Tiffany Stratton comes out looking strong. It took both of them to take her out. It took a double team move.
Yep.
And her missing her finisher, which was perfectly timed.
Yeah.
And that ultimately keeps her momentum moving forward. Bayley, what does this do for Bayley? I think it's just kind of a miss in terms of she could have another win to her name as champion after the momentum of winning Royal Rumble, then winning at WrestleMania against the storyline of Damage Control and her friends that screwed her over. So it's disappointing. It's disappointing the finish after how they got to it with Tiffy was good, but just
the match is really good, and then at the last second it just just kind of died.
Well.
But again, I think maybe this. Oh my lord. But again, Tiffy can say that she wasn't pinned, and then she can still keep going after Bayley. I'm hoping she takes it off Bayley at SummerSlam, but we shall see.
Yeah. I think she's probably the main contender at this point in time, being called up when she did at Rumble. Usually, again, with no mid-card title, it's usually the, whatever you want to call it, WWE SmackDown women's belt is usually the up-and-coming title that they put on somebody. So I think, by SummerSlam, either she's challenging at SummerSlam or she's a champion by SummerSlam. The only other thing is she could win Money in the Bank next month or whatever it is, a month and a half, and still challenge that way and be the Money in the Bank holder. But I think she's great on her own and doesn't necessarily need the briefcase to do that. Moving on. So there's one heavyweight title match. And here we go over to the men's side of things. Well, that was women's out. That was one world title-ish match. I was trying to do a nice segue.
SmackDown is WWE. Raw is World.
Yeah, I get it. It was always like that. I don't know why they keep changing it back. Now it was WWE Undisputed, Universal, Continental Classic. Too many belts.
What is it? Ed calls it the Crunch Wrap.
Yeah, Crunch Wrap belt, whatever we're calling it today. But we move on to the World Heavyweight title match, where main event Jey Uso challenges Damian Priest, El Champion, where we saw Damian Priest successfully, in his first reign as champion, successfully defend his World Heavyweight title against Jey's. Nikki, your thoughts, ladies first.
I do want to call out one little thing before the match, that the Bloodline walked by Jey before he came out, and then Heyman just stared at him like, help me, please help me. And then, like, Jay just kind of, like, shrugged them off and then went out, and the crowd went incredibly insane for him. Just, the whole, it's like the building was, Corey even said, he's like, the building's moving. Like, you just saw the whole crowd just about, like, I can't even imagine the rush of having that whole 11,000 people just all saying yeet and doing your thing. Like, I can't even, that's.
Oh, so I was asking this lesson. Sorry, it was 11,000. That's what the attendance.
I believe that was the number, 11,000 something.
And that's something to just kind of digress to talk about, like the attendance and things like that, and like arenas and where you play. That crowd last night was perfect all night long. You had a couple moments where they almost hijacked the show, but like for the most part, that was what a crowd you strive to have your audience be all night long in every one of your matches. And yeah, that was just absolutely phenomenal. And
it only got a little much, like, because after every, like, everyone goes like the 2 count, like 2, whatever they were saying. After every 2 count was getting a little annoying by the end. And then them singing that phenomenal song at AJ all night got a little annoying. But for the most part, again, you want that hype crowd. Like, I definitely think it gives that Puerto Rico crowd from last year's Backlash a run for their money. And I think now they're setting the precedent. Like, Backlash has to be outside the U.S. and have an insane crowd. But
yeah, I mean, with Puerto Rico's crowd, honestly, and I guess they're doing it this year with the Saudi show coming for King of the Ring. I think
different vibes.
Yeah, different vibes, but I just think in general, going outside of the domestic United States and Canada, outside of North America, after post WrestleMania is such a brilliant idea, because you have so many people fly in for that, out of the country and things like that, and historically, Europe, the UK, now you see France, like it's such a great crowd, and that's really what gets everybody into the matches, even more so in the wrestlers perform better. You saw it all night long, whether it's like in the beginning with Randy Orton, KO, or the end of the night with what we'll get to with Cody and AJ, and just how you could just tell they were just, the adrenaline was pumping, they were jazzed up with everything. And like, to me, that's what you want every night, that momentum. And so don't go crazy booking a 25,000 person stadium when you can have this type of a vibe, the whole night.
No, agreed. But to the match. So it kind of starts off sort of like typical, like just like the strikes back and forth. Priest kind of dominates early, throwing Jay out the ring. They get back into the ring. He throws him in the barricade, go back in the ring. There's more strikes. Priest mocks the yeet thing, like he throws Jay down. He's just like, does the yeet thing back at him. Then kind of Jay comes back and he does kind of like his road dog, like his little like dance into and he spit in his hand and like slap him. Like he spit last night. I was like, no, but his whole thing, he does that. Then he does the step up insecurity. He takes down Priest. There's yeet chance. Then there's a crossbody. Priest kicks out. They're outside the ring again. Then they go back into the ring, and this is when the shenanigans happen. And so Priest is in the ring. Priest is talking to the ref. Ref doesn't see Jay. JD McDonough comes out and kind of holds up Jay on the ropes. He gets stuck there. Then he hits him. Then he hits him with, I forget what move it was. But Jay kicks out, and then Priest noticed that JD was there, and he's like, "What are you doing? Like, I don't want you. I told you not to come out here." And then Jay super kicks JD. He hits.
JD's quickly becoming just like, well, he's already been. He's like the stepchild. They're like, you're in the group, you're not in the group, you're in the group, you're kind of in the group. When you help us, you're in the group, but when you really, really fuck up, you're not in the group.
Right.
So I really think they're leading towards something with him being the first kicked out, and I think something with Balor, because him and Balor, was he trained by Balor?
He was trained by Balor.
Yeah, and like their relationship is gonna,
because Balor has a wrestling school in Ireland, and that's where Becky Lynch came up through, and JD McDonough. But Jay hits a splash. Priest kicks out. There's more strikes. Then they're striking each other. Then they start kicking each other. And then Priest catches Jay's leg and then hits him, pulls him up and hits him with the Rager's Edge. Jay kicks out, and then Priest looks shocked, like you kicked out the Razor's Edge. Then he takes his straps, and then you know it's serious when your boobs come out. Sorry.
Well, everyone who made that famous, was it Jerry Lawler or was it
Lawler
Andre?
did it.
Did Andre start it? I feel like
I
Andre
don't think
started it.
did he only had one strap though? I feel like it's less impressive. Like I know King did it.
It's less impressive with one strap versus two.
When you're
It
like,
doesn't,
"Ugh,"
if
when
you
you
only
already
have one
boob
strap,
out.
it's only half as
Yeah,
impactful.
But I think Lawler did it. I think obviously Kurt Angle did it. I think that was a kind of, I think not famous, but I think when I think of the straps coming down, I think Angle more than Lawler.
Yeah. Actually, I think Kevin Nash.
Oh yeah.
Kevin Nash probably would be the first person because the jackknife powerbomb was always set up by the.
Yeah, taking the straps down. So takes the straps down. Jay gets out of the South of Heaven attempt and hits a spear. And I said to Nick last night, and again when I was rewatching it today, I do not like Jay Spears. I don't like the way they look. I feel like he scrunches, like when I feel like Roman or like Edge, it's like they're flat and longer. I feel like Jay kind of curls up, like
Roman
scrunches his knees too
Roman
much.
was a football player, defensive end. So like it's same thing with like Goldberg. It was like it's supposed to be more of a tackle when they did it, especially Goldberg was a tackle. But like I don't know. In terms of spears, everybody does a spear, and I feel like to be judgy of it is kind of not fair because there's so many people. It's not
I'm kind of just over the spear. I guess maybe this, people complain about super kicks, and maybe it just the spears are getting like that to me. I just wasn't a fan, but I digress. So he kicks out of the shitty spear. Then Finn comes down, gets super kicked by Jay. Priest hits South of Heaven, but Jay kicks out. Priest does a spinning kick, goes to do another one, but then Jay super kicks him and then spears him again. Don't like the spear. Jay goes up top to do a splash. Right? No, he does the splash. He got the pin, and then JD pulls Priest's foot and puts it on the ropes. And then Jay takes out.
Right. So he gets help throughout the match multiple times from both McDonough and Balor. I think the thing that's interesting about this whole concept is that if you notice, the person who helped him the least was McDonough, and the person who was most effective helping him was Balor, but he didn't want either of them there.
Right.
So it's just interesting, but ultimately he needed Balor's help more so than, or both of them. I don't know. I guess
So then JD puts his foot on the ropes. Then Jay goes out and takes out JD, takes out Finn. He goes to go up on the top rope again, but then Priest meets him up there, and then they do the Avalanche South of Heaven 1, 2, 3
for the win, which was a candidate for my big Nick energy moment. I don't have a visual. WWE.com didn't have any good photos.
They're like picky and choosy, like with the big end spots or like the big finishing moves. Like they won't post the photos.
I do like that way. I mean, as a finishing move, I don't hate it. Like I never really like the chokeslam that much anymore because it's so overdone. I feel like it's such a setup move. But the way he does it, it's a sit-down chokeslam. It's a little bit different.
Than just like Kane, just like a chokeslam. Like I feel like he puts a little more oomph, a little more stanky stick on it. But yeah, I think the Avalanche 1, 2, 3, and then JD, the Judgment Day, Finn and Balor, both Finn and Balor.
There's two
and JD
of them.
and McDonough, all four of them start beating up Jay, and then Priest is like, no, like they make them stop, and then they all kind of like look at each other, like they're like, oh, why? And he basically was like, didn't want them out there. So again, that's sowing some seeds, but I think it's a little. We knew they were getting involved. Like we said that on Friday that JD were the Judgment Day. I put JD in my notes because to write out Judgment Day is just too long, and then I get all confused between McDonough and Judgment Day. But you know they were getting involved. I think it was a little bit too much, but I guess
Well,
if this is the why Priest turns, it's like I can do this all on my own. Like, stop.
Yeah, well, so you took the words out of my mouth. Is Damian Priest finally turning face as the World Heavyweight Champion? So that's what I'm asking to our fan base here. Let us know in the comments below if you want to chime in. We're opening up the phone lines. Apparently, some issue. I might not have put it in the chat, but it's in the chat. Hopefully that link works. I know some of our regulars are saying they're having some issues, so hopefully we can get some people on here and let us know, get us your feedback from WWE Backlash France. But yes, going back to it, is this where the turn happens for him, or is this setting up the turn? I said a month or so ago that I think this is the end of Judgment Day. I think Dom, well, now with Dom's injury, is he injured? He's not injured. There's conflicting reports.
I think he is injured, but he doesn't need the Tommy John surgery that everyone says. They're hoping he can just rehab it.
Yeah, so where he's at with everything, this whole Liv Morgan storyline.
Which they just looked at each other. I was saying, I was like, what happened? What did I miss?
Well, no, it's the Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley storyline of that she's just taking everything from her. So, where is that going? And like, is that going to continue that storyline? Like, I think they're separated. And like JD and Finn, I said this to you offline. I think this is what's going to happen is they're going to put them together as a tag team to keep that rolling for a little bit and keep moving in that direction. So, I do think this is the end. I don't think Rhea Ripley comes back and there's a Judgment Day for her to come back to.
Yeah. Well, I feel like she also doesn't really need them anymore.
No, I don't think she. Well, no. I think in the beginning, in the
like her and I think her and Dom. I think her corrupting Dom was fun, and then the whole thing of them showing up at Thanksgiving and how he turned into condom, whatever they were calling him. Dirty Dom.
But
I think that's kind of grown, like, I think thinking of, his fake dad, Eddie, or maybe real dad, Eddie Guerrero, and China, like, that was fun for a little bit, and then they broke that up. So It was just like, I think Triple H said that. You don't want to, like, you kind of want to, like, when he left DX, you kind of want to break them up when they're on the high. You don't want to be, like, on the coming back down from the popularity. Like, it was still hot. Rhea's still hot, so them kind of disbanding now when, they had their champs. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's run its course to the point where it's done as much as it can for everybody. And Dom's still got pretty nuclear heat as a heel. So I'd like to see him try and take that to another level with something. I've actually heard rumors that I don't know that this. Some people are speculating with, and we're going to get into this in the future show, not tonight, but the Uncle Howdy stuff of the Wyatt Six and this faction that's coming in. Some people are speculating somehow that Dom would inherit the Rey Mysterio mask, and then that's like.
No,
I don't know how, but like,
rumor who they think the Six is. I'm not mad on it. Nothing about Dom is in there.
But we're going to get to that in the future show. But I don't think that that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. We thought it might have happened last night or yesterday, but. I think they're saving it for a more domestic gate on that end. But I digress. So, any final thoughts on that match?
I think it was a fine match. Like, did it blow me out the water? No. Was it bad? No. I think it would have. There maybe a touch too much shenanigans, but I think obviously this is the purpose for Priest to eventually leave the Judgment Day. Fair enough.
I agree. So moving on to our pre-main event match, you need somewhat of a cool down, but I didn't cool down because the crowd was great all night.
Yeah.
So we moved to we opened the show. And you're frozen a little bit, but we have new women's world tag team champions. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are now the women's world tag team champions after what I thought was a pretty good match. Again, there was there was, as expected with Jade being so green, there were some spots that were questionable overall. But ultimately, I think the finish here and everything with this match builds them up as two just badass women that hopefully can now take this tag team title reign to a new plateau or a new level. And credit to the Kabuki Warriors. I thought they had a great match. They put it on. They did really well together. And the way they built up Jade as like this crazy, unstoppable, like monster force, like they were presented themselves as a credible challenger to her, because it's tough the way that like you have two, like Bianca and Jade are two tremendously strong women, that putting them in a match like this, it's like when you pair them together, like how would these two women have a chance? And like the way that this match was constructed, I thought was done really, really well. And again, a lot of tremendous athleticism on display. Jade looked completely strong. She did a springboard crossbody at one point in time, which was just insane to see. There's only few women can do that, I think, that are her size. and just seeing her do that was incredible. And it brings me to what was my Big Nick energy moment of the evening, which was the finish. I guess her jaded, but she catches Kairi in doing, I guess she was trying to do a Hurricane Rana, it seemed like, or a Plancha type deal. And she catches her, whips her around, pulls her into a powerbomb type position, flips her like 3 times, eventually gets her into the jaded finish. And that, to me, was just absolutely incredible. In terms of her athletic ability, there's few people that can pull it off. And on a stage like this, 12,000 or what was it, 11,000 people, red hot crowd, being able to come out and perform like this. I know the match itself, she had some botches. It wasn't great. There was a tilt-a-whirl spot that she kind of screwed up, and I don't know if it was supposed to look like I don't know if it was Asuka that she did on, like, who was supposed to have the better end of that, but like there was a couple botches, but overall I still think she comes out looking strong as hell and great on a stage like this where you come off WrestleMania, there's another hot crowd, she's still brand new. For her to perform like this, I was impressed. Thank you.
I know you love her. I know you love her. I've some qualms, some good things. First off, I don't like when champions come out first. The Kabuki Warriors came out first, and then Bianca came out, and they cut to them dancing to Bianca's music. Like, they're supposed to be the heels in this, and they're dancing to Bianca's music. Again, Damage Control and the Kabuki Warriors should be these dominant, crazy, like, women. And it's just like, I didn't like Asuka's just like dancing, and I'm like, you have this crazy face makeup on, it's supposed to intimidate people, and then you're like shaking your butt to your opponent's song. Like, it made no sense in my brain.
Well, she always, honestly though,
but that's when
she always does that heelish, like the dancey, like kind of like I'm not afraid of you, like I don't take you seriously type stuff. So I feel like that part of that is her character.
I feel that she does that. I just feel like when she does her dance when she comes to the ring, and when she's actually I don't know, something about it just really bothered me. I get she does that, like she dances in the ring and she's like not, to your point, not scared, and like I get that, but I don't know, dancing to the theme music, I don't know, for some reason that just really bothered me. And then I wrote in my notes,
well, you shouldn't dance to your opponent's theme music.
Yeah,
that's what
dancing to your, like her doing her thing to her music and then doing it in the ring, but to dance to Bianca's music with your championship belt just felt weird, and I didn't like it, and I don't know why. But, and then I wrote, obviously they wanted Jade to come out last. Now she has Snow, so I was like, oh, she stole Sting's Snow and his splashes.
Whatever. Someone has to take up that mantle.
Yeah.
Next, she's going to do this Scorpion Death Drop as her finisher.
So it's like started off, Asuka and Belair started off collar and elbow tie up, and then she, of course, goes right to pulling the hair already. Asuka put her in that, like, what they called it, an octopus block, but it wasn't one of like AJ's
Oh.
It's not the widow.
No, the web, something like spider.
But I don't know, had or anything, and of course, then
I know what you're talking about.
The great spot of Bianca, just powering out of it, and honestly, where like the fun spots, and then, of course, when it's like then she tags in Jade. Jade does that great crossbody that Nick talked about, and then it's just I feel like it's like a Darby Allin match, and Kairi Sane's Darby Allin. It's just like big Jade throws around a little girl, and just the way she just like. Kairi running for the waist lock, and she was just like, whoop! And I just feel like
Are you talking about like even into that like that double team move? Are you trying? Oh,
no, this is the beginning of the match.
Oh.
When like Jade first comes in, she does the springboard crossbody on the two of them,
and then she does her bicycle kick,
and then
pump kick.
Yeah, the pump kick. Hold on, yeah. So and then she does on the crossbody, then that's literally my note. I was like, big Jade throws around little woman.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's just like like that's the problem. It's like I feel like you get to the point where like somebody like same thing with like Raquel what do they call her? Rodriguez now? Is she Raquel Rodriguez? Like some of these women are just so big. Or all right, better example, Awesome Kong. Awesome Kong, I loved watching her, and like she had in Impact, TNA, whatever it was called then, she had some great matches with Gail Kim that were phenomenal and always fun to watch, but it's tough to like, similar to like, go way back to, like the Andre the Giant, it's tough to book some people against them because you have to have a credible challenger to build up. Like, same thing with like nowadays, I feel like to an extent, Brock Lesnar. You have to have someone like who can craft that David versus Goliath match of like, I'm going to take this beating. And then what I do is that, that spot where, Brock Lesnar runs at the barricade or he runs through, like they have to use their own strength against him and use their cunning ability to kind of be in that match. It's so tough to book someone like that. And Jade is just such a physical freak of nature and how phenomenal she is in shape and size and shape. And like, it's tough to keep someone on that level. That's what I really worry about, like booking wise. It's really tough to book them. Yeah.
So she basically throws around Kairi. She tags Bianca back in, and they do this new like Cole called it like a superhero pose, but they kind of did like the Wakanda Forever thing, and then put it up like to show their muscles. I was like, that's a cool little new pose thing. And then at the point, Bianca beats up Kairi. Of course, they're on the turnbuckle. Kairi's pulling her braid, and then she does the flip off the turnbuckle like while holding her braid. Kairi distracts the ref. They're outside the ring, and this is what looked gnarly. So Bianca's outside the ring. Kairi does a crossbody off the top ring turnbuckle, and I feel like Bianca just takes her whole force of her knees like right in her face. And then when they land, and then Kairi gets up, and I feel like, Kairi's kind of just scrambled to get off her, and it just like knees her in the face again. It's like, oh, that didn't look great. But like back in the ring, they're doing the Kairi and Asuka are just double teaming Belair, and I feel like this match went longer than it needed to be, and I think this part could have been shorter. That like Bianca was at babyface in peril, just getting double teamed by the heels, and she's stuck in their corner. I feel like that went on a little too long.
I disagree. I think they have to build it. First off, this is the thing. You have to build up a challenger for them because now they've won the belts. It's going to be everyone. They're going to mow over there's no women's tag team. The only women's tag team, and I think they just broke them up, that I actually thought was a tag team was that Kiana Chance and Caden Carter.
They broke them up?
I think they got drafted. One of them got drafted to Raw or SmackDown, and the other one didn't. So like that was the only one that I considered team because they came in together and like it seemed like they came in together. So you need to have some sort of credibility to this match. So having it run a little bit longer, I'm fine.
Yeah, I know they're also not trying to keep damage control. Kabuki wires look good. Just for me, I think now that we're getting later into the match, like when she does finally get to Jade, and then this is when I kind of feel the match kind of like you can tell that Jade kind of gets lost in the weeds for a little bit. And then the ref said, when like Kairi went to go pin her, and then he was like, oh, you're not the legal person, and then they do another move, and like then Asuka tags in, and he's like, "Oh, tag." He's like, "Well, you said she wasn't a legal person. Why did we did 2 more sequences to get over there?" But I know Jade does hit before that. She does do a springboard kind of onto springboard onto the Warrior. She does her pump kick that looks great. Then she does the stinger splashes. They're both in the opposite corner. She hits them a couple times. Michael Cole does call it the stinger splash, which I feel like in olden days, like don't think that they just call it a splash in the corner. I don't think Vince McMahon would let them say stinger splash.
I don't know.
But
sure.
So it was interesting for them to say. Again, more double moves, splashes, then the whole weird thing that is Kyrie legal.
So the one thing, talking about double moves, I know Nikki's got a lot of notes.
No, I'm sorry. Just go on to your big Nick.
No, I already did that. So just talking about double teams, just to kind of put a little bow on. Talking about double teams, I'm actually very impressed with in the short period of time that Bianca and Jade have been together, they have a lot of different moves. Like they have the gym. I'm going to call it the oh my gosh, Spirit Squad finisher. That move where I don't even know what they called it, but they just lifted them up. They had all 5 of them would lift up somebody, and it would just basically be like I think like the parachute type deal. And then they had that, which was more of a typical one, but now they did the wheelbarrow German suplex that they incorporated into it. There was a lot of different elements that they're working together, and more of a tag team than I would even thought of, like 2 badass singles, stars paired together to bulk up the tag team division. So I'm pretty excited about it. Oh, so Steve coming in. They did not split up King. Okay.
I didn't think so.
But that the King, like, again, that's another tag team that, like, again, there's not many, so you need to have like when you have a situation like this with the Kabuki Warriors, who were tag team champions and they were good together. Like that finishing move that they have is awesome, where it's the Scorpion Death Drop plus the insane elbow. That's a great double team move, and it works really well. They work well together. They're 2 great wrestlers in the ring. Like, keep them together for a while, even though Asuka's still could be a main eventer on her own, multiple time women's champion. But like we talk about, like, the reason that Sasha Banks and Naomi originally left was because they weren't building up this division. Now you have the opportunity to build up this division, build it up. Yeah. So having a 10-15-minute match here, don't hate on it. I like it.
Longer than that.
But still, like, give it some credibility. There's only 5 matches on this card. You don't need to make this a 5-minute match where Jade comes, No, I know. But I'm saying, like, I get what you're saying that it went long, but I'd rather it do that and build up a little bit more credibility to the women's tag team division that hasn't.
No, I agree. And I'm, rah to women's wrestling all day. It felt a smidge after what we've already seen, and then going into the main event, it just felt a smidge long, and I feel like they could have cut out just a little bit. I think it would have made it more impactful because they did get lost in the match. And again, the ending was incredible. I wrote the wheelbarrow German, and then they pushed her the wheelbarrow, and then Bianca pushed her knees up, and then they hit the German. Looked incredible. When they both were in submissions and stood up at the same time and slammed down the Warriors, looked great. She did, when she grabbed Kyrie and kind of like, it was like, you have to move this way, and then you're up on my shoulder, and you're this way, and you're down. Like, looked incredible. Like, when she has, like, those things that she can hit, she, like, it's hard, because when she does a thing well, she looks incredible. When she looks lost, she looks super lost.
Well, that's just, her being a rookie. So
I feel like, and I get it. I know, like, time, and it's super early, and again, it's her 3rd match in WWE, and I know we're going to get there. You protected her for so long, and for this, you can see why she was protected for so long. And I just think, in the future that she can have these 20-minute matches and not stare at
in front of such a tough, big crowd, hot crowd, all the nerves. I thought she did great.
Because at some point, you literally, when they're on the ground, Bianca's like doing, like, covering her mouth, like barking at Jade, like this is what, like, come on, like. So I don't know. Again, I think it was a fun match. Again, smidge along. I'm thinking her doing house shows is going to help so much because AEW didn't do house shows. I think her just getting reps in. I think she's like, I'm not like trying to shit on her.
No, I know. Well, we'll see. Again, I think it's a great starting point for her. So we'll see where they can pick and where they can take the tag team titles, the women's tag team titles from here moving on. So we go from a relatively inexperienced wrestler to our main event, where you have two of the most experienced wrestlers on the planet. Cody Rhodes successfully defending for the first time his WWE Undisputed Championship against AJ Styles, the phenomenal, which seems like a match that should have at some point of time happened on the Indies or in Impact or in AEW.
At the same time.
I know, but it's crazy when you think about it though. Like, here's guys like two of the guys that, in my opinion, in the last 20 years, are the biggest names on. I mean, I know Cody was in WWE, but like that you'd heard on the indie scene, like and like making the rounds. And now we get to see it here in WWE. This, to me, overall, complete old school type of match, old school feel. Everything about it was just too phenomenal. Sorry, the pun. Wrestlers, veterans, taking up the old school mantle with a hot crowd and knowing exactly what to do with it. The crowd was on point. We saw Bullet Club chants from the crowd. I know they hinted to that on Friday night at SmackDown. It just had that old school main event feel. We saw, even some newer stuff where, powerbomb through a table. It was a lot of like beating them up, each other up on the outside, suplexes on the apron, and like beating the count, AJ beating the count in, and like that old school stuff where it's just like they beat the living hell out of each other for the whole match. And it's just like, this is what a singles match in WWE should be like. Mm-hmm. And it just brings me back to childhood, this whole event and this whole match. And I loved it, every bit of it, with Cody coming out on top, surprisingly, at least to my surprise, with just a single Crossroads. Mm-hmm. But just, especially after doing the triplets for the last couple weeks. So maybe Cody's going back to that whole, like, just, hey, this move. Because again, like someone like Roman, maybe you need to do it 3 times because he's the GOAT. But like going back to that mentality. But I absolutely love this match. Again, just old school vibes. Everything about it. Hot crowd played into it. These two, you could tell, just like, and we talked about just like the Randy Orton KO stuff, the veterans in WWE loved every bit of this show. Even, I think, going back to like Bayley's match, Bayley, you could see her smiling at certain points in the match, like on the ground, like, because I think you could just tell the crowd was so hot, she was so into it, and that just makes them perform better. So, absolutely love this. Nikki, your thoughts?
I will keep my notes short. I'm sorry, this is running too long for you, sir. But just want to call out when Cody came out, when the light first hit him, and he's in this like immaculate white coat, and then he just had the gold from the belt. Like, it looked so good. I was like, this is your champion. This is the guy that's the face of your company. This is your golden boy. He looked just so good. Also, do want to give a shout out because of our ladies. This is the first Jessica Carr, the referee. This is the first time a woman ref did a main event like championship match. And I was like thinking, that can't be, that's crazy. But like they said it on commentary. Cody tweeted about it, how Jessica, like, she was like the first woman referee to do a main event men's match. Which I feel like, because I feel like Aubrey fucking does everything over there.
So not to like bring this to a weird level, but like I wonder, it doesn't happen all the time. And not to make it like a section, but like, because there's so many, like for instance, main event this year, WrestleMania, there were so many ref bumps. And like, I don't know if because again, we're not in a PG era anymore, but if because again, it's a men's match, like, I don't know how that's viewed on a TV scenario.
Having her take a bump. So
right. Like, so maybe I'm just saying, like, just thinking out loud, does that play into that?
True, but I know, like, Edge also made it a big deal when Jessica Carr refereed a match in Saudi Arabia. Like, they made that like a big deal. So
yeah, there's just not. I mean, and good again, more empowerment. Like, there's not that many female. Yeah,
there's Jessica Carr and then Daphne, I think her name is. The black girl, really pretty long black hair.
Yeah, I'm not sure her name.
I think it's Daphne or I
didn't even know Jessica Carr's name.
Oh yeah, no, it's Jessica Carr.
I know Aubrey.
Everyone knows Aubrey. Aubrey makes sure everyone knows Aubrey. And then also Michael Cole, he's like 2 former Bullet Club leaders, and I was like, no, Cody wasn't a leader. That was the whole storyline between him and Kenny, but like he wasn't a leader of the Bullet Club. Calm down, Michael Cole. But I just think that
I thought he basically was.
No, Kenny, stop your madness. It was Kenny. Don't shit on my Kenny. But I just like you said, like old school wrestling. It was like I wrote down 2 Georgia boys amateur wrestling each other on the mat. Like that was.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they're both Georgia boys.
Did they mention that in the press conference?
Yes.
Okay.
They said it on commentary. That's why I think Corey. I put it in my notes. I was like, oh yeah, they're both Georgia boys. Again, like the mat work of them just kind of, doing the leg locks and all the mat wrestling I thought was super fun. And then like they kind of got up and looked at each other like, oh yeah, like, and that's what Corey kind of called out. It's like, you kind of forget that they are like, Cody was very decorated, high school amateur wrestler. And like, so was AJ. AJ's like a wrestler's wrestler sort of deal. So.
And he's got phenomenal hair.
I know
he's got no dry split ends.
No.
At all.
So they do their mat work, and then Cody does the cartwheel into the start. But again, like the Stardust thing also sort of looks like AJ's thing. So he did that, and then basically AJ targets the shoulder and the back. They're saying that like Cody got like hurt his. Kind of messed up his shoulder with the match with Mello on SmackDown. So like AJ was targeting that, and I think again kind of old school, like, oh, my opponent has like a weird shoulder, I'm gonna attack the shoulder. So a lot of that, and then they're outside. I'm gonna quickly go through my notes because I know Nick doesn't want me to do all the things. Oh, the fun spot is like AJ went to they didn't call this, but he did the lion salt because they were in Leon.
It's a Leon salt.
It's a Leon salt. Cody put his knees up, so that didn't happen. Cody did the scoop slam. No. He doesn't hit it as smooth. Like, Randy's is amazing, and Goldust, Dustin Rhodes is amazing. It's like your 2 mentors do that move so much better.
You're very picky about the scoop slam.
I am.
I don't know why.
It's one of my favorite.
So
like, go watch the first match. Watch Randy do it. It's beautiful. Chef's kiss. You see Cody do it, and it's like, oh, you're trying. Not as good. He has a lot of good, like the disaster kick he hit right after that. Great. Then he hits the bulldog. Did someone put a comment in?
No. I just pinned the chat.
Oh, so I just saw.
I think I pinned it.
I saw this thing move out of my eye across from my.
In case anyone wants to call in, we got some new people coming in. So if anyone wants to call in, I think I didn't put it in the description for this one. I guess I screwed that up. But on the admin side, but I tried to pin the call-in link in the chat if anyone wants to chime in. And if you're new here, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you haven't yet, and you've been listening for a while and you haven't, you're a jerk, and you better do it right now.
Get on that. So Cody hits a bulldog and then throws AJ's like face into the ropes, which I think is a little scary because it makes me think of that Enzo spot. But he hit the ropes, he rolls out, and then AJ hits, I don't know what you want to call it.
What is Cody Cutter?
No.
Oh, not AJ.
When AJ drops Cody on the apron, like it was kind of like nothing.
The suplex.
What?
That's the suplex. That was kind of what. So what I was talking about, like, that's an old school spot of like the suplex, like even like the suplex. I only seen it a handful of times, like the suplex to the floor, because everyone's like, it was always a spot where like it's usually like the heel like trying to suplex the face to the floor, and it doesn't happen, and then the face suplexes the heel. It was that, but then you take it out one step further. I called it an old school thing because like the apron moves felt more old school to me, and now they're kind of coming back. And he basically, which scares the living shit out of me as a move, because the way they do that move, and on the apron nonetheless, yeah. Well, no, he basically takes him up, and you don't hold them. You like flip him. You're just like, all right, see ya. And like he lands on his upper back.
No, this was more his shoulders when he landed, because they're like, oh, his shoulders, his neck.
It's a really scary spot. Like anytime they do that. Like I get like Kevin Owens like did power bombs on it and stuff like that, and like that's different because you have a little more control. But like it's a scary spot. Anyway.
Yeah. So hits Cody on the apron, and then somehow Cody gets up and power bombs AJ through the French table, and then they're both kind of out of it, and they both slide back in together like right before Jessica says 10, which is great because again, AJ can't win the belt, and you know how Cody is. That's not how he wants to win. So it's great.
Is the old school.
With the old school. So it's great. It's like they roll. It was so timed perfectly that they both roll in at the same time, which is really good. Then they're kind of like they're like tired strikes, and they both kick each other in the head, and they're down again. So it's just like they're both kind of giving each other the kind of same moves, and they're kind of matching each other like toe for toe, move for move throughout this match, which I thought was so fun. Then they get up and they start doing the strikes again, and then Cody starts doing this bionic stuff when he hits the elbow. AJ goes down, he kicks out. Then this weird, he kind of puts him up in a tombstone. Like AJ has Cody and like kind of like Cole kind of said like, oh, the Styles Clash. It's like, that's not a Styles Clash. He definitely had him in the tombstone position, and he was also wearing black and purple. And he was also Undertaker's last match. I was like, is he like? I think it'd be kind of cool if he starts using the tombstone. That's like a thing.
AJ?
Yeah.
No.
Then what was he trying to do in that position?
No, that was the. So this is why, going back to it, it was an old school match. Those spots, those tombstone like fireman's carry into like shoulder press, those were old school reversal spots. That's why like this whole match was just a 19 mid to early 1990s type like match.
80s.
Yeah, 80s to early 90s, late 80s, early 90s match. That's why it was so great. But they infused elements of like today's wrestling where like the springboards and like the Cody cutters that he does. And like, I know I'm getting ahead of you with your notes. But
I have 4 more lines.
Okay, go ahead.
4 more lines. So then after the weird kind of tombstone Styles Clash, he gets out of it. Then Cody's on the ground. And then AJ, you had the photo up before. AJ hits his beautiful springboard 450. That looks so good. Of course, Cody kicks out. And then I don't look how it's so good. And then I don't know what happens. So AJ hits the burning hammer. Cody kicks out at 1.
Yeah, and he's all pumped up.
And then he starts like hulking up, and I was like, I feel like one that was maybe again old school was a protected move. Again, tell me I'm wrong below.
I don't remember who had that as a finisher.
It was Kabashi, wasn't it?
I don't know. There was a guy, Tyler Rex used it. He's the last person who used it.
It just felt like a weird move for AJ to use out of nowhere, and then Cody to kick out at 1. Something feels weird. I feel like there's something behind that. But then he, hulks out, hits the Cody cutter, kicks out. Then he puts on a Kimura lock, which I thought was interesting. Like,
no, it's just a phase of him. It's a phase of the character. I think that's just one of those things that you beat Brock.
Yeah,
so now it's another.
Okay. What I was agreeing, so I'm saying it was interesting, but I feel like he beat Brock, and now it's like, is that what he's going to do? He's going to beat people and like absorb their moves,
level up.
Yeah, so I think because now AJ's like humongous now, and then he was able to like power out of it. But I just think it was a lot of them using interesting moves and different moves that they necessarily don't use all the time. And then he hits the Pele kick on him, and eventually, I'll get to it. He goes to hit the elbow, doesn't work. Then it goes into the Kimura. He gets out of it. Then Crazy Cody hulks up. Instead of doing his normal second rope springboard, he goes to the top, goes to hit the Cody cutter. Then 1 crossroads, 1, 2, 3. So I don't know if this special like top rope cutter. Because like we were saying before, it's interesting that like with Roman and he was hitting like the 3 Amigo ropes,
different opponent,
and then for him to hit the super cutter and then 1 crossroads and then 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, different opponent. I think also giving more credibility back to the move.
Yeah.
Because if you have to hit the move 3 times, it's not that good a move then.
Yeah.
So like same thing. It's like it's like a German suplex. All right, if it's that good, and you have to do it 3 times to make it that impactful, then it's maybe not that great. So like, him doing it from that, he kind of botched it a little bit, but it came off all right. The Cody cutter from the top rope, and then he hits him with the crossroads. I'm all right with it. It's again, he's been using the Cody cutter, so
I think it's a hard-hitting match. I think I don't. Maybe I guess either the opener or the closer was my match of the night. But I think a phenomenal match. I think it Cody looked good. I think AJ looked good. I think it was a good match. I think AJ was a great first opponent for Cody. Cody was winning. It was a hard fought win for sure.
Yeah,
I don't think I can complain really about that match.
You bring up match of the night. I don't. Yeah, the last and the first match were good. We're definitely contenders as top. I would even say Priest and Jay's match was really good too. For what it was worth with everything else.
Not a great card, honestly. Because it's our show, I'm nitpicking shit here, but I think from top to bottom, great card, great matches.
But yeah,
I mean, it's a fun pay-per-view.
We want to hear from all you. What do you all think of WWE Backlash France? We're going to open up the phone lines to those who can call in. If I didn't screw up the phone lines this time, I don't think I did. I think I pinned it in the chat. Let me know if I did do that.
Okay, so next recap show, I will just do the highlights. I'm sorry I tried to write down everything that happened. You
were into it. You were in it to win it.
I was.
You're jazzed up about this pay-per-view.
I really was. And we panic called Steven yesterday. Because we were watching it on delay, and then flipping Peacock didn't have it up there, and it's like, no. And then 20 minutes later it was up. So we really panic called.
I know we have to talk about how they get their stuff up. But anyway, regardless, we're gonna open up the phone lines. If you want to call in and chime in and let us know what you thought of WWE Backlash France. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Who's Cody? The other thing is, who's Cody's next challenger? Is it AJ Styles again?
I didn't watch the press conference, but apparently Cody said Orton, but you'd have to ask Triple H.
Well, Orton just lost, so
I know, it needs to. Honestly, I would love to see Cody Randy, but I think Randy needs to be heel for that to work, and I'm not ready for Randy to be heel yet. I'm really loving him and KO, and again, if you watch the kickoff show Friday afternoon and just how much fun they have together, and in WrestleMania we joke how KO drove Randy to the ring. He looked like he was freaking out, but I don't know. I'm loving face Orton right now. Again, I would like to see it, but I don't think they're there yet.
That's fair. So we're opening up the phone lines. Before we do that, just let everyone know this Friday on the show is Ladies' Night. We're opening Ladies' Night. We have another Nick to join the club.
Another Nick calling.
May 10th, 6 p.m. Our usual Fridays at 6. We're here every Friday at 6. So if you're new here, hit the old like and subscribe button. If you're not new here and haven't hit like yet, you better hit like.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get your life together.
But we have Nikki Duke, a.k.a. Ariel Sky from Women of Wrestling, joining us on Friday, this Friday, upcoming. Local New Jersey girl joining our Jersey group. Then the following week, we have another Ladies' Night. We're doing Ladies' Night next 2 weeks. With Zoe Sky joining us Friday, May 17th. So make sure you mark your calendars. These are up tentatively as our live broadcast because we always go live every Friday at 6. So make sure you mark notifications so you get alerted 30 minutes before we go live. Chime in on the discussion here. So with that being said, let's open up the phone lines to our we needed help. So our Peacock Tech Summit support. Bring him in. What's going on, Steve? What are you thinking and what are you drinking?
Bon après-midi, mesdames et messieurs. Comment ça va?
Oh, wow. That was impressive.
Oui.
Très bien, très bien.
It was much more impressive than I thought.
Yeah, I took it long enough in school. I should remember at least some of the basic stuff.
Even for you?
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Un champagne, s'il vous plaît.
All right, but you can't do your whole promo in French, though, because no.
He wants champagne.
Well, we don't.
I actually do have a bottle.
Oh, now he's finally asking the bar for alcohol for the one show.
It's funny you mentioned my niece-in-law, if that's the right phrase, my nephew's wife. Hi, Meg and Dan, if you're listening. They're not listening, but whatever.
You don't know their lives.
They're not listening. But anyway, they turned me on to this drink that includes champagne called an Apparel Spritz, which is great. And I didn't think it was something that was available here, but apparently you can get the ingredients here. And Megan, she last time we got together a couple of weeks ago, my family, she made some of us one, and it was great. And it's like, I think that's one of my new favorites now.
All right.
What's in it? Champagne and what?
It's champagne, this orange, sort of bitter but not really, orange liqueur called Aperol, and club soda. I don't know what the dimensions are of each, and over ice. It's very popular in Italy. I don't think I've ever seen it on a menu here, not yet anyway. And I didn't think they sold apparel in the States, but it's really good. If you happen to find it somewhere, maybe in an Italian restaurant, definitely recommend.
Sounds like an orange soda.
This is very fancy.
Kind of, yeah.
Lovely.
So, Steve,
enough
of what you're drinking. Now that we know what you're drinking, what are you thinking about Backlash?
I enjoyed it. That crowd, going back to French language stuff, that crowd was great. What they're counting off the pins in French, I thought was wonderful.
So you bring up that question. So you're counting off the pins. So Nikki and I were talking about that. She was getting.
What were they saying? It was like when they kicked out at 2. What were they shouting?
Okay, this much I could figure out. They were going un, deux, and then they kick out and they would go sacre bleu.
That's what I thought too.
And I'm like, that couldn't be more French if they were all smoking a cigarette and carrying a big long loaf of bread. I mean, I swear to God. But what they said after Sacre Bleu, I couldn't make out. I mean,
but what does that mean? What's that mean now?
It's just an exclamation. It means like oh my God, holy crap, or something.
Okay. It was like oh, that's a stereotypical, like that's what you're doing, like not making fun, but doing a French thing. You say that, but I was like, I wasn't sure what it actually meant.
Right, and that song they were doing. I mean, I know now that it was the French phenomenal song that I think is related to one of the soccer teams, but I didn't know that when I was watching it, and I'm like, I have no idea what they're saying. I can't make it out.
Yeah.
But it was also pretty cool that they still did some stuff in English, like they sang Orton's theme. I don't, regardless of where, I don't think I've ever heard a crowd sing Orton's entrance song.
I said that to Nick.
Well, I disagree. I think
I don't know.
Like WrestleMania or like Royal, a couple of them I've heard people. And maybe like when they're in St. Louis more so, but like in a couple areas, I feel like I've heard not like that though. No,
like
no, I agree.
Like what they do for like a Cody, when they used to sing like a Judas, like I thought that was crazy.
And
which is actually what I called when Nikki and I were talking about it, because I said they're gonna sing Cody's, like I was like, Chris Jericho is gonna be in like envious right now. Like the Wembley thing that he tried to do, it was All Out or whatever. I felt like it paled in comparison to this, even though it was a small, but that's the thing, like going back to the whole, and here's the irony of it. And we're all music fans, we've been to shows, concerts, there's a thing about like sports, music, like when you look at like teams like the Minnesota Vikings or like versus when you watch like a bad example, but New York Jets stadium, and they're both packed for a playoff environment, and you hear the level of the crowd. They talk about that all the time, like the decibels, because it's the acoustics of the arena, and like one of the loudest arenas in the world or in the United States is Seattle. They call it the 12th man for a reason, and it's the acoustics of that arena. But even that arena pales in comparison, because you have open air there versus going to a place like Lyon where they were, and you have a closed dome arena, and 12,000 people can sound like 100,000 there, and that's what makes the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I can also identify with the rocking of the seats.
Mm.
I experienced it once myself at a show. It was GNR, the first tour after Axel and Slash reunited, and I went to see him at MetLife.
Oh.
And Welcome to the Jungle, just the entire stadium, the seats were literally bouncing up and down. And I think the only other time I've seen that at all, I remember this old Jets-Bills playoff game, 81. I think it was still the Richard Todd years, where the cameraman actually showed the seats, the bleachers rocking up and down as I think it was the Jets were driving towards the win, with the winner going to the Super Bowl, and not the Super Bowl, but the next round. But if you're a Jets fan, you know how that turned out. So
yeah.
It was also funny.
Steve, hold on.
Yeah, that's about right. Getting back to Backlash, it was also pretty funny to hear that "This Is Awesome" chants, but in a very heavy French accent.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
And that throws me off so much, because they were chanting, and then at the end, like I was like, all right, I think I understand. This is awesome chant, and then at the end, I was like, they're chanting "This is awesome," so now I don't know what they're chanting anymore. I give up.
This is awesome.
Yeah, and they're like, I'm like, if you're gonna chant in English, then why are you chanting in French?
Yeah. I thought that was great. The one thing just about the show in general, without getting into an individual match, is, I mean, they only had 5 matches. They should have put scheduled at least one match with a European talent on it. I know JD McDonough's European. He wasn't really, he wasn't a scheduled participant in the match. They should have put somebody in there. Like, I know they're pushing Ludwig and Gunter Heavy for the is that in Germany or is that Austria?
It's Berlin.
Berlin. Oh, Germany then. I know they're pushing those two guys hard for Germany. I know they don't have any actual French wrestlers. The closest they have is Owens, who's from French Canada. But I mean, they could have found.
Bring back Rene Dupree.
I said that on Friday.
Where's Rene Dupree?
Yeah, right. Or maybe at least an Andre tribute. But it's pretty. It was pretty cool. They should make this a tradition. It worked out well with Puerto Rico. I still think the Puerto Rico crowd was hotter, but France really did well. And I didn't notice until yesterday. What is it? 5 of the next 6 pay-per-views, premium live events, are outside of the United States.
Good.
Yeah.
Do it. I like these 1:00 starts. Day drinking. We like that.
Although one of them's in Toronto, which really doesn't count. But
listen, this is a lesson for Tony Khan to learn. Just do it overseas. Start it, and not do 14 matches every card.
Like, again, I think 2 hours 45 minutes is the sweet spot for a good pay-per-view, unless it's your manias. But if you're just doing your normal, like again, your post-mania, your Money in the Banks, that 2 hour 45 is a sweet spot. Tony Khan doing a 6-hour marathon, I can't do anymore.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
On a Sunday when I have to be in the office on Monday, like I can't do it.
Exactly.
Have you guys booked your hotels for Vegas yet?
Oh yeah, you even say like next year's Mania's in Vegas.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting. So
Easter weekend though.
Ooh.
Oh, is it? I know it's later. I didn't realize it was Easter weekend. Oh, shit.
Yeah, that the Sunday is Easter Sunday, and I don't know. The airlines are already going to be hiking up prices because it's a holiday weekend. I don't know. Got to think about that.
That's gonna be a pricey weekend.
We'll be here in our basement.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure we'll be here at the bar to make sure that all of our listeners and everyone knows what's going on WrestleMania weekend and can chime in and have their voice heard. The voice of the voice. They can have their voice and not be voiceless. There we go. They can have their voice and not be voiceless.
Yeah, right.
They don't need a voice for the voice.
Jersey City Saints.
Steve, before we let you go, any last comments? One last shot.
No. Looking forward to the new rosters starting today's Sunday, so tomorrow. And au revoir, mes amis.
Well put. You, sir, are cut off. I would say that in French, but I don't know any of it. So he's gone. He's dropped. So this has been a fun one.
I know. I'm sorry. Next pay-per-view, I will keep.
Nikki's going to do the Cliff Notes version.
Well, I feel like the first match I really wanted to talk about a lot of stuff, and then I was like, oh, well, there's so many good things to talk about. And I was like, oh, well, I can't just be like, the Priest did a Razor's Edge. Like I was like, oh, I have to fill out all my notes.
No,
and then
but that's
making the bartender upset.
That's the statement of a good pay-per-view. Is that you have a lot to talk
and
about.
There's a lot of spots that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? Too many spots.
But
fine, close.
No,
It's throwing me in the dump tank. Apparently.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut her off. Hold on. Our judge and jury. There you go.
Oh, my little girl is sleeping. Mock me with my child and boo me on my own show.
That's what happens when I'm in the seat. I don't know what they call this. The special seat. There's a term for that.
Director's chair?
Very loosely. But regardless, at any point, this has been a fun one. We hope you all enjoyed WWE Backlash. We are, speaking of backlash, we are back. Not lash, but we are back. Exclude the lash.
Hyphen.
On Friday, just to throw out another nice plug. Ladies' Night is Friday.
Feel all right.
So if you are one of we do have female listeners on this show.
I need all my ladies to show up on Friday.
Show up, chill out. This is going to be fun.
Let's give Nikki Duke some love. A Jersey girl. I know we have my Jersey girls out there. I want everyone to call drinks. In.
If you're buying.
Hey, if you're buying, I'm drinking. So. But yes, we have two incredible women coming up. We have Nikki, and then we also have Zoe the following Friday. Zoe Sky. Ladies, we appreciate ladies wrestling. We're going to have some fun chats with these ladies. You never know who's going to show up at happy hour.
Exactly. It's a fun time, fun night. It's going to be some fun nights we got coming. And we're getting ready because we're basically in spring. We're going to summertime here. So it's exciting time. And summer, especially in New Jersey, I don't know about the rest of the country, world, but there's a lot of independent shows, a lot of things going on. So wrestling really starts to pick up even more so after WrestleMania locally. So we're excited about everything coming up. We're going to have some more interviews on the channel. So if you're new, make sure you subscribe. A lot more content coming out from the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. Again, Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern time, whatever time that correlates to you, whether you're in the West Coast of the United States or the United Kingdom. Set your clocks accordingly and notifications. Make sure you subscribe and like. So, oh wait, we got a comment. Oh, was the last person. Oh, it's Steve. Outdoor happy hour. We're trying to work that out, Steve. We're trying to figure out a way. I think our tentative plans are to set up something. We might be split. Nikki may be backing the bar or womaning the bar, manning the bar, whatever you want to call it.
No, bar backing.
Bar backing, yeah. And I may be taking the show on the road down the Jersey Shore in the next couple of weeks as the weather gets better and we can have some different things. So we're gonna have that. We're gonna have some new guests coming on. Obviously, new guests. We've had some great guests already. If you haven't seen it yet from Friday's show, Andrew the Reinforcer, Andrew Anderson, joined the show. Great interview.
So
Talk
fun.
a lot of different things by way of our friends at the Integrated Pain Management Hotline. A lot of stuff to look at. So make sure you check those out. But that being said, until next time, you don't have to go home.
But you can't stay here. Bye.